In the lead-up to November 12, 2021, Bandai Namco allowed select individuals to download and install Elden Ring Network Test version across the PlayStation and Xbox platforms. This would then, for a limited time, serve as a fully playable demonstration version of Elden Ring. Moving forward, however, and having bypassed the online server checks and also enabled a number of developer features within, this build now functions as a time capsule, allowing us a fascinating look at an earlier point in Elden Ring's development. With the finished game now available for context, let's take a look at a few particularly interesting things that were changed during development of the opening few hours of Elden Ring. Before proceeding out to Limgrave, let's take a moment to talk about the Fringe folk hero's grave, an optional side area near the beginning of the game. This is wholly inaccessible in the network test version, and we need to hack the interaction prompt next to the fog gates to gain access, and get a look at a particular interesting difference from this earlier point in development. As we round the first corner on the ramps within, we notice there's actually a set of 3 barrels here hanging from ropes, accessible from the upper ledge found later on in this area. Once we reach this ledge, the barrels can be cut down with a simple melee attack, ideally destroying the chariot that would be patrolling these halls in the finished version of the game. For the retail build, these barrels have been completely removed, and players might be forgiven for not noticing in their frantic escape that there is a far more subtle way to destroy the chariot now. These 3 large explosive jars have been attached further up on the roof. Again, later reaching this ledge, the jars can be similarly dropped on the chariot enemy to destroy it, but in the final version of the game, ranged weapons must be used. Proceeding forward into the Limgrave open field, we immediately meet Varre, and one of the most dramatic changes between the network test version and retail is that Varre's dialogue has been completely rewritten and re-recorded. Let's listen to their original introductory dialogue as per the older build.
Oh yes. Tarnished, are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden Ring, hmm? Of course you have. No shame in it. But I'm afraid you're plumb out of luck. You're maidenless, a bit player, fully divorced from the strength of runes. Feel free to go off and die in a ditch somewhere.
And now compared to what we get in the final version.
Oh yes. Tarnished, are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden Ring, hmm? Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. Without guidance, without the strength of runes, and without an invitation to the Round Table Hold, you are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity.
The speech is likely changed to add more ambiguity to how exactly an invitation to the Round Table Hold is extended. Limgrave is littered with countless small differences between the 2 builds. Bosses have expanded movesets, new areas have been revealed, all of which we'll cover in the future, but right now I want to just focus on one more absolutely fascinating detail that appears to have been left in the network test version by mistake. Proceeding just a little further through the earlier build into the arena where we fight Margit, and from here looking back to where the network test began, we see a low level of detail view of Limgrave which appears to have been incorrectly generated, revealing some strange assets that did not actually exist when we explored the area previously. For whatever reason, these burning stone heads were left behind in the distant view of Limgrave during the creation of the network test version. There is an unusually high amount of detail in these assets considering they're placed at a far distant view, with even small scratches and wrinkles visible on the stone flesh. Only two can be seen, this one on the cliffside of Weeping Peninsula, and another here on the shore of Agil Lake. Taking the camera below, we can see there's a little more to it hidden beneath the ground. By adjusting the camera, we can see that their eyes are somewhat asymmetrical, with the right eye being closed and left appearing to be abnormal with a gaping hole at the upper part. Most interesting is the fact that in the very oldest leaked footage that exists of Elden Ring in the public space, we also see one of these same burning head statues in another location somewhere in Limgrave, suggesting that these were indeed something planned to be shown in the open field at some earlier time. I don't want to speculate with any regard to the purpose of these assets, apart from the fact that they clearly were not intended to appear in the network test version, and they're no longer visible from this same vantage in the final build of the game. Over time, we'll likely learn more about them as the game's development history becomes more open to us. It's still early days for our time spent exploring Elden Ring, and I already have far more that I'm excited to share with you as time goes by, and we gain context through which to view these discoveries. But for the time being, I'm going to leave it at that, as I just want to set some expectations here that I will indeed be covering Elden Ring going forward on this channel. I hope you might choose to subscribe to keep up with my work on Elden Ring going forward, as well as many other discoveries in From Software's other games I still have left to show. I'm also always streaming my time spent with Elden Ring on Twitch, so feel free to follow me on there if you ever want to discuss any discoveries, or see some of my experiences live. Either way, thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.